thinking about my travels. And then I thought about my recent one, which was around 2 months ago. I went to Bali again and stopped by Bangkok in Thailand and went to Chengdu, I think, in China. And I was wondering if I've processed everything. In Bali, it started off really strange for me. I had been there 6 years before, but I went with a friend and I think we only stayed there for like 4 days. I'm not even sure how many days it was. And a lot of things happened in those few days. So I think I already had some sort of expectation of what could happen or not, even though I tried not to. The first few days felt really strange. I usually stay in hostels just because I enjoy being around people. But I stayed in a room just myself, and it was very strange because I was by myself. And although I travel by myself all the time, I end up spending a lot of time with people most of the time. Like, I always meet people all the time. And it didn't start off like that right away. And then I moved to Ubud and I stayed in a really good hostel, like super, like, not pristine clean, but it was pretty decent and the rooms were nice. There was air conditioner and there was a huge pool and there was a Ganesh, which is like every time I see a Ganesh, like that's my place. I know I'm meant to be there. That's like my like sign for it. And so stay there, I think, for quite a few days. And I hadn't met during the plane ride. So I left Portugal and I went all the way to China. That was my stopover, which I've never stopped over in China before. And so in the plane ride, and then from China I would go down to Bali, Indonesia. But in the plane ride, both of them, I sat next to Chinese people, which usually are quite reserved in some way, especially younger people. But they actually were really open and they just started talking to me and like, oh, you should go to this place and why don't you come to China and whatnot. And I was like, maybe this is like an open door, that it's finally time to go there because I've never been before and I've always wanted to. And so I didn't think that much of it. I got the contact from 2 guys that I was next to in the airplane, and then they were like asking, like they were only there for a few days and they were asking me if I wanted to go to meet them and go to the island with them for 2 nights and then come back. And I was like, yeah, I guess I wasn't feeling like, what am I doing here in Ubud? I was like, it felt like there was no sort of purpose or anything that was like sparking within me. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. But I really, really want to go to this one place in Ubud. And it doesn't really make sense that I'm already here and I'm gonna go down just to come up again to then go to that place. And that place was called the Pyramids of Chi. The first time I ever got to know about the Pyramids of Chi was actually not online, even though it came up afterwards online. It was back when I went to India and I did a yoga teacher training. One of the people that was doing the course with me, she had just been in Bali for like a month and a half, and she gave me a huge list of places to go to and places to stay at. And one of the places she told me about was the Pyramids of Chi. There was like 3 pyramids with the same alignment, that not like the distance and the size is not the same, but the same sort of alignment that the pyramids of Egypt, Giza, ones have. And so I was like, I'm gonna go there. And after that, after I came back home, after that one trip, it came up again, and I was like, that's definitely a place that I'm gonna go to, and it never left my mind. So when the guys were like asking me if I wanted to go down, I was like, yeah, but I really want to do this, go to this place. And I'm really sort of intuitive in the things that I do or not. So I looked it up online, and it shows like the things you can do, and only one thing caught my attention, which was shamanic breathwork. And I was like, I'm usually very mindful of the things that I resonate with and not, because there's a lot of breathwork things and people and that might be for someone else, and it might not feel like it is for me. But that one felt something, and I needed also an excuse just to go there, because I really wanted to go there. So I booked it for the day before I was supposed to leave to go down to the islands, and I went there. That day something shifted. Suddenly I had some sort of purpose, and I started to feel like light again in my whole body. I decided that I was gonna go and walk the whole way there, because I love to walk. And that's like a way for me to relax my mind and like release tension, I guess. And so I went on my walk. I went straight to the town of Ubud, and I stopped by in this like one shop with photographs from this one French guy that turns out is super well known, and I've never heard of him before, and actually saw him because he went into the shop and then went out again as well. And I bought some photographs which were really nice, and I actually have them here. I haven't posted them anywhere yet. I usually like to put them on the wall, but I haven't. Pretty sure they're right there. Yes. So these are really nice. Got like this one. Okay. This one. This one reminds me of Hawaii. Just the sky in Hawaii was like this. And I love the children's ones. These are so cute. The traditional one and the children's. Isn't that cute? So I bought these ones on the way, and I was in a super good mood. And then on the street I realized that I was going the wrong way, so which just happens. So I turned around to go the other side, to the other way, and this one guy was smelling a flower, and I just stared at him and I laughed because I thought that was so sweet, because I usually do those kinds of things. And he just smiled at me and he offered me the flower, and I never saw him again. The second he gave me that, I was like, this is a good day. Like, you are on the flow now. Like, you entered the flow of what you're meant to do right now. Just go with it and trust it. And when you enter that state, it just feels so good, because life just starts to unfold itself without you even doing anything. So I went on my way. It was a longer walk than I could have possibly imagined, and it was really hot. Sweating a lot, and it just kept going, and the Gojek guys or the Grab guys that go on the motorcycles kept stopping and asking me if I wanted a ride, and it was so tempting. And I was like, no, I'm gonna walk the whole way there, because I thought that I would, and I'm gonna do it. And I kept going and going, and then I was so close, but it was still about 20 minutes away, and there was a huge like steep thing up, and I was like, you know, I think I've walked enough, because at that point I'm pretty sure I've been walking for more than an hour, or maybe an hour and a half, past through places where it was like middle of nowhere. And I mean, there's houses, but there weren't many people, and it was just very different from the downtown center of Ubud. And then when I was super close, I got a Gojek guide, and I just went all the way up to the pyramids. And then I got there, and you just have to wait until it's time to go inside the pyramids. Mind you, the first few days up until that one specific day, I felt really emotional. From the minute I stepped foot in Bali, this time, I kept being emotional for no reason. There were reasons if I really thought about it, like this thing or that thing would make me emotional, but in general, like I would look at something in the street and I would just start randomly crying. And it just kept happening, and and that day I just accepted that's just how I was feeling, and that it's okay that I'm feeling like that, and this too shall pass. Everything passes. Nothing is ever forever. Not the highs nor the lows. And so I just waited, and then it was time to go in. And I went in, and there's a bunch of people, and it's the pyramids. So it's like there's 3 pyramids, and I believe it's like one is air, the other one is earth, and the other one is water. I think it's something like that. And the one that I was staying at, the first one was metal one. And it's literally just a huge pyramid, and when you're inside, you can look at the top of it, and there's no ceiling. It just goes all the way to the top. And I laid down like everyone. Well, first he gave a huge explanation on everything that was gonna happen, everything that you could feel, and yeah. I felt like he prepared enough, in my opinion, in like the things that you can feel and experience, because I have already experienced those things. It's not really new to me, and so I was just like, okay, it's good, that makes sense. And so we lay down, and he starts off. I don't remember everything clearly. I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere, but I should write a lot more about the details about things, what they happen, because only the major parts stay. The other ones seem to like go away a little bit. Yeah, I didn't write down that much, to be honest. Oh, I did write down some things. Wait. Okay, I'll just go by memory. So we lay down. I believe he puts on music, and then he starts off like he relaxes the body and the whole process, and then you start off the breathing exercise. The breathing exercise was pretty much the same as something that I've done before, but I was laying down this time, and well, I've done that before laying down, but a huge experience that I had, the most recent one, I was sitting up, and this time I was laying down, and I start doing it and doing it and doing it, and it's like at some point you sort of like, you feel your whole body, but you feel your body more like this field of energy, and you sort of, your body becomes like in this automated state of breath in a sort of a rhythm, and it just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it, and like my hands got super cramped up, and which is completely normal, and it's like a huge amount of tension and energy just going straight into my hands. Like I felt that before, but then I moved the energy and it went up to the brain. But that time in Bali, this past time, was really strong in my hands. Like really, they were putting like themselves in like really weird positions, and I felt this huge thing, and then I felt it all over my body, and it was almost like, it was so intense, the amount of charge of energy that I was feeling in my body, that it was almost like at some point, and I kept doing the breathing. I kept doing it because I was just so curious what would happen if I kept going. But at some point I did reduce it because it was just feeling so intense. It was almost like if you keep doing it, it's almost like it's gonna break up, like break in two, which obviously it's not, but like it's just such a strong, intense pressure sensation that's how it feels like. And so I kept doing it, I kept doing it, and I kept doing it, and it was really, really good energy. Some songs that came up really brought up a lot of emotion, and just tears just started running down my face, and I was so emotional. If I were to talk about that part, the past few days since I had landed in Bali, I felt, usually I'm really good at being by myself, and I generally am, but for the first time I felt like I can start to get ready to have company. And though I share my travels with the people that I know, I just thought about in terms of a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship, and I thought that it's time to start opening my heart up for that possibility and to do that. And before, I just felt like even if I had that desire, it didn't feel like I was ready or like it was the time for it. And in that specific breath work, it was like cracking open that, okay, this is something that I do wish to experience, and it is something that is opening up within my heart. And if you resist it, it'll cause you more pain. And if you accept it, it will open and flourish into something you can't even possibly imagine. And so it felt like I was accepting that part of me that wishes to experience that experience of having a relationship with someone. And so it was like this huge emotional release and acceptance of myself for even having that desire, because I felt like even having that thing that I've always felt in my chest, it was almost like I felt that it was wrong of me to have that desire, because I should renounce everything and I should just focus on like my spiritual path. And I had such a resistance to accepting that that would be something that my soul wished for. I get even emotional if I think too much about it. Yeah, that was something that I really felt cracking open within me that day. And I just kept being emotional. And at some point during the breath work, there was also another thing that I wish to record, which is one of the places that I feel the most like my emotional authority. It's in my right here in my solar plexus, and that is something that I felt literally as if there was something right here in this specific spot. Like, it's a whole experience. It's like pressure is like there's something here, almost like if it's almost an object within you that is right there in that place. And so that felt really intense at some point. And then we kept doing it and doing it. I think it lasted around an hour and a half, something like that. Or almost an hour and a half. And then we started to come back. It took me a while more to come back, because when I get into that state, I enjoy it so much that I purposely don't come back when they say, because I just want to enjoy it a little bit more. It takes such diligence and persistence, and for some reason when you're in those environments, you concentrate so deeply, even though you're surrounded by other people, that it just happens so much easier than if you're by yourself in a room. It's when you're by yourself in a room, it's almost like you keep doing it, but at some point you're like, okay, I've done enough, and you get up and you go do something else. And when you go to those places, specifically in your mind, like, this is whatever experience, however intense or not it is, like, we're all here for the same purpose. We're in this space with the energy for this specific thing to happen. And it just, you at least usually I just tap into it so much easily. And yeah, so that's pretty much what happened. It took me a while to come back. I sat up, and then people could ask questions if they wanted to the teacher. He was a very, very kind, nice guy. I really liked his vibe. Felt really gentle, but very assertive, and also just relaxed and not pressuring at all. And so that was mostly the experience. A lot of things happened after that, and even when I got out of there, I was still really woozy, kind of like I wish I could have stayed in that state longer, and I still was. And I just started being emotional, so I just walked around the property, which he recommended to just go around and walk, or just sit down on the grass. And I kept feeling really emotional, because it was like in that moment I gave myself permission and acceptance for this part of me that is love, and that wishes to experience love, and in all shapes and forms. And it was just like an acceptance of a fractal of my soul that I had been pushing away and renouncing for such a long time, because I was afraid that thing would push me away from my soul. But I finally sort of began the process of accepting that is part of my soul. That is part of me. And if I reject that part, then I will never be in full union with my soul and my consciousness, because that's also a part of me. So that's pretty much what happened in that one. A lot of things unfolded after that one, but maybe I'll share that at some point. Yeah, this was the first one. I did end up doing another breath work, which maybe I'll share it afterwards as well. That one was a whole other initiation. I guess I will share it, but I'll make a different video for that one, because this is already a story on it of itself. So that was part of my journey in Bali, going to the pyramids of Chi. Goodbye.